guys were looking pretty good out there in the corners.
Thanks. You know, we learned a lot from your book.
That's great. I'm really glad to hear that. I did notice one thing, though. How do you guys feel about your braking and downshifting? I see. So, clutch in, gas on and off, clutch in, gas on and off, clutch out, clutch in, gas on and off, clutch out, you got it. Clutch in, gas on and off, clutch out. Just a little coordination point. It's really all it is.
I can't believe how distracting that used to be. Oh, absolutely. And even after I improved my visual skills, I was still feeling rushed at the turn entries.
Well, you know, I guess this is a pretty good example of how little coaching can really help.
Oh, man.
Traction is the obvious limiting factor on our speed and direction changes. We've explored how throttle control, rider input and surface problems can affect traction, but let's take a closer look. A new rider's perception of traction is a little sketchy. As we gain more experience with traction, our perception improves. There are some classical approaches to understanding traction used by average riders and pros alike. They can give riders a new perspective on tyre grip. It's a classic route to understanding traction. Here's Keith's solution to understanding traction. He calls it the lean and slide bike. About this time, most riders would chop the gas in panic. It takes a lot more to lose traction than most riders think, but there are situations you should be aware of.
Of course, if the tire was new and not yet scrubbed in, or too old, too cold, tire pressure was wrong, over or under inflated, if you were riding on a slippery surface or a polished surface, leaning the bike over too far, other mechanical problems, it would slide.
The slide bike helps train riders to avoid slide errors. Watch what happens when he chops the gas. As we've already seen, when rolled off, not chopped, it is far less violent.
Overriding the grip of new or cold tires is a classic novice riding error. Even at relatively modest lean angles and speed, a cool tire on a cool day can surprise you when you first go out. It doesn't take much to slide. Tire grip and temperature are proportional. A cold tire feels like it has maybe 25% its normal grip. A warm tire on a warm day feels more like 75% or more right away. Don't be a fool. Gradually bring the speed and the temperature up. Never trust the tires. Trust yourself. Learn to bring them up to temperature according to conditions.
In generally good conditions, as we have here, modern tyres deliver excellent traction. Good throttle control is the foundation that allows a rider to explore the limits of traction. Even with good throttle control, a small slide can start or get out of hand when the rider is tense. The rider's ability to be comfortable with traction limits depends upon having the key elements of throttle control, rider input and visual skill. Two other aspects of traction are important to understand. The more lean angle you use, the less side grip you have. The solution? Even when the rear tyre is totally lit up, bringing the bike up into the slide helps the rider maintain control. The lean and slide bike is one of the training methods used at Keith's school to help riders gain that confidence and experience with traction. All 7 factors, visual skills, steering, turn points, line, rider input, lean angle and picking up the bike must be under the rider's control for him to be confident with the throttle and with traction. New technology is great, but even with traction control and modern electronics, the rider has to work his way up to using it. Being in control of these 7 factors is the quickest and easiest route to confidence.
I'm so stoked. This twist tube have really helped my riding out.
Totally.
Feels like I'm making improvements every ride I take. It's as if there's no limits. You know, I see more ways to apply this information every time I read this.
Real good we could actually get.
Oh, hey, Will. How you doing?
Hey,
You both look pretty good out there.
thanks.
Yeah, but after watching you ride, you know, it just makes us want to kick it up a notch. So how'd you do it?
I went to school.
School?
Let me ask you something. What do you do for a living?
Well, I'm a doctor.
I'm a software engineer. Why?
Well, did you wake up one day just knowing how to do your trade? Or did you learn it by going to school?
Okay, point taken. So, how do I find a school?
Is this where you went?
That is where I went. California Superbike School.
Really?
Best training you'll ever get.
See, Will.
You guys must really push it hard.
How do you ride that thing to the edge?
I've learned a few things over the years.
You got any advice for us?
Advice?
There's a lot of advice out there, guys.
Why don't you get the real tech on riding?
We'll lend you this copy of the Cornering Bible. We'll be here next weekend. You can give it to us then.
Twist the wrist, too.
Oh, thanks a lot, guys.
No problem.
Looks like I have to get myself another copy.